Alright. Here we are again, folks. We're back. And it's a Monday. Oh, goody. So, how about we do a little bit of light reading before we get straight into battle? That'll be the key terms around here. So, actually, let's take a look-see here. I got this great big book here. It's a book of grudges, as you could say. And let me tell you, lads, it is a sight to be seen. If you haven't had a chance to check it out, you can see just a wee bit of it on my Twitter account. Check it out over there. Link should pop up pretty soon. You just go down there and check it out. I've made some pictures. And it is beautiful. Published 1998. But first, what I wanted to actually do was read to you on page 60. Dwarfs, master of iron and stone. The mountains of the old world are the domain of the dwarves, a race as hardy and unchanged as their rocky habitat. It was they who taught early man secrets of the metalcraft and weapon making, and the two races enjoy good relations to this day. Beautiful. Let's see here. In the beginning, long ago, the dwarf empire of Kazakh-Ankor, literally everlasting or mountain realm, stretched far out the world's edge mountains from the far end of the North World continent to the craggy depths of the Southlands, which many believe to be the dwarves' original home. The early Dawi, as the dwarves called themselves, were cave dwellers who developed from a Stone Age society into an industrial civilization that expanded rapidly wherever there were precious minerals and forge-worthy metals to mine. It is likely that the mysterious Old Ones assisted them in their efforts, although these extraterrestrial visitors do not make an appearance in the early dwarf sagas. Their records do, however, give an account of the great catastrophe and the coming of the chaos, according to a popular lore. Excuse me. The dwarves were forewarned of this impending cataclysmic by their high chief Grungni, and took refuge in the deep subterranean tunnels, and they mined for iron and gold. They were thus protected from the Dark Holocaust and erupted from the gateway, skirting the surface worlds for life. In their underground shelters, the fearless dwarves set apart, making weapons and armor in preparation for the time when they could return to the surface, face whatever warp terrors lay in wait for them. Although the dwarves were unable to master the seething magic energy that had been released into the world, they found a way to trap it in their runes, which they inscribed into their weapons and armor. Armed with these magical artifacts, they marched back to the upper world to do battle with chaos. During this cataclysmic war, the dwarves had their first encounter with the High Elves of Ulthuan, who were also struggling against the ravenous minions of darkness. The two races forged an alliance and together succeeded in lessening the power of chaos in the world, though their accounts of how this was achieved differ slightly. In the era of peace that followed the first chaos incursion, both races enjoyed a golden age of development and exploration. Unfortunately, the intent was short-lived. It did not take long for elven arrogance and dwarf obstinacy to spark off a war between the two that would undo much of the work that they had put into expanding their civilizations. Today, the empire of Karaz Ankor is no more, but the dwarves are too proud and stubborn to allow their civilization to die out completely. They have forged good relations with the men of the old world and have been instrumental in advancing the technology of this young race. A long history of cooperation has enabled dwarves and men to resist the constant menace of orcs, goblins, and the children of chaos. Magnificent. Oh, they even have a whole page on the runes and writing. The alphabet, the numeral runes, magical runes of the Dawi. I'm telling you, lads, it's a sight to be seen. It's bloody beautiful. Yeah, I'm gonna go back a little. We'll start with physical aspects. Dwarves are, on average, somewhat shorter than elves and men, making them ideally suited to the subterranean tunnels in which they live and work. Their bodies seem built for physical labor, solidly muscled and broad-shouldered, with powerful limbs and large, thick-fingered hands that belie unconsiderable manual dexterity. Dwarves are a very long-lived race, with lifespans that can run into centuries. As a dwarf grows older, his beard becomes long and thick. Since dwarves have great respect for age, it would be unthinkable for them to cut off or even trim their beards. Female dwarves have very little contact with the world outside of the dwarf realms, and this has given rise to a number of misconceptions, including the notion that all dwarves are male, or that the female dwarves have beards. Dwarf endurance is legendary. They are highly resilient to fatigue, illness, and toxins, particularly alcohol, which they quaff in great quantities. Beautiful. getting together. Dwarf society is held together by ties of blood and honor. The most important social union is the clan, a collective of families bound by common ancestry and homeland. Each clan maintains its own territories along with age-old traditions and customs. Perhaps the most valuable piece of knowledge a dwarf possesses is that of his own family tree. Craft guilds consist of dwarves who share a common trade or profession. Knowledge handed down through these groups is jealously guarded, and it is not usually for them to become clans in their own right if trade secrets are kept within a family. Although clan members generally live in the same region, it is possible for them to become separated, and a single dwarf stronghold is often home to several clans. Every member of the community has a purpose. There is no place in dwarf society for the work-shy. The dwarf work ethic is tied to the race's unique notion of honor, which they will go to any lengths to maintain or average. Honor is shared by all members of the dwarf clans. Thus, any personal stain or insult must be borne by his entire family, including future generations, until the wrong has been righted. Possible ways in which honor may be lost include breaking an oath or bargain, unforgivable, fleeing the field of battle, or even losing one's beard. The latter is what engendered the long and bloody war between the elves and the dwarves. It is said that the dwarf never forget a debt or an insult to his honor. For the benefit of future generations, all such wrongs are entered into a book of grudges, and thus no crime against dwarves goes unpunished, even if retribution must be postponed for centuries. Dwarves have many natural enemies, including orcs, goblins, and the tunneling Skaven. Though no longer at war with the elves, old wounds heal slowly, and there is still much mutual distrust between the two races. Thank you all for joining me on the reading today. I hope you all enjoyed. But now, if I may be so bold to say, it's time for some killing. If you know what I mean. So, let's get to it.